All right, welcome in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. First day of school for GMAC, so I guess he's not going to be here first couple segments of the show. Hopefully join us a little bit later. Alabama does name Ty Simpson starting quarterback, and I think this is something we've all known, something we've all thought, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Is it good that it's happening now? Is it good that it's Ty Simpson? There are some folks that are a little bit more concerned about the number 2 quarterback now and what that's going to look like and what that situation is going to be moving forward. So I think it's probably good that Ty Simpson can at least publicly know that that's the situation, publicly know that that's where they are, and he can begin to assert himself, which he already has, or else he wouldn't be named starting quarterback. So I think it's there are a lot of people that kind of want Keelan Russell to be the guy. I don't think there's anybody else that the Alabama fans have been sort of rooting for, hoping for as far as being the guy early on. But Ty Simpson, somebody that's been in this program, coach's kid, has now been in this system for almost 2 years, and you would imagine has everything that this offensive coordinator that has come in, Ryan Grubb, wants, and that his head coach wants as well. And I think he's a guy that's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I think based on what he's got around him, he doesn't have to go out and be a superstar. He's not going to have to go out and make incredible plays. If he just plays within the system, within the offense, and I think he's got enough arm strength to make the throws that they're going to want. Now, I will say this offense requires a lot of throws outside the numbers, some down the field, accuracy in the quick game. They're a little different in some of the reads in the quick game, but I think Ty Simpson has the ability to have a good year. Now, are they just going to stretch the field constantly? Is he going to have a Penix-type year? I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think, number one, they're going to have the offensive line and the backs to be successful. And if you remember that Washington season with Penix when they went to the playoffs, Dylan Johnson didn't really begin to sort of assert himself until a little bit later. So I think they went in uncertain about how good the O-line was going to be. And they also went in a little bit uncertain that the receivers and Penix together were going to be sort of what they were. But Dylan Johnson was an absolute hammer and somebody that when you looked at them later in the year, they were a different football team, a lot more downhill. I mean, he didn't run for 100 yards until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, till week 6, and then didn't go for 100 again until 3 weeks later when he went for 256 against Southern California on the road. And then obviously had 152 against Oregon late, and that's when they really began to be, I think, more of a downhill run team. So the offensive identity can shift. It can be different. I think they'll probably lean on the run game a little bit earlier this year. The tight end stuff does concern me a tad, just about are you going to be able to add any bonus bigs to be able to help out that way, to help get a little bit of extra oomph if you want to, if you need to. But I understand we haven't seen a ton. I understand that we haven't seen a lot of game action from Ty Simpson, but he's got the credentials to be a guy without multiple starts or a ton of starts to be able to go out and get that done just because of where he's been, the offensive coordinators he's been around. And let's just think about what's going to be around him. I mean, you got Parker Brailsford back at center, number one. That's somebody who can come to the line of scrimmage, who can set the defense, who can give you the point, who can establish that linebacker right away and then set everything as far as what we're responsible for, what you're responsible for. If there are any issues up front, he should be able to clarify it. Then obviously he's going to have a massive left tackle that's going to be tough to get around. That's going to help keep the pocket clean the majority of the time, you would think. We all hear good things about the progress that's being made on that side of the offensive line this offseason. Now, no Tyler Booker, but you've got some guard depth, even though we heard Coach DeBoer say that some of the guys were a little bit dinged up in the scrimmage over the weekend. So that's something you'd be a little bit concerned about. But I feel good about Ty Simpson. I mean, I think Jam Miller's going to have a breakout year. You've got Jeremy Bernard. You've got Ryan Williams that you know you're familiar with. Jalen Hill could kind of become that deep threat for this offense that I think a lot of people have been waiting for him to sort of morph into and become. And you got Isaiah Horton, who I think can be somebody that also hurts you down the field. So Ty Simpson doesn't have to come into the season and think that he's got to do a lot of the heavy lifting or he needs to be the guy that puts the team on his back. I think Ty Simpson comes out, runs this offense, gets them into the right plays, right calls. They can lean on that offensive line and those running backs a little bit early, and then they'll be able to be a team that that goes out and potentially pushes for a playoff spot. Paul Finebaum could not join us yesterday. He is going to join us today, and as you know, each and every week he's brought to you by our friends at Craneworks.
Load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Paul Finebaum on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Finebaum.
Paul, always great to have you with us, and appreciate the time this morning. Make it up for a little bit for yesterday. Ty Simpson starting quarterback in Alabama. What exactly does that say to you about this football team, specifically that it's being done now?
I think it's good news. I think it's the least surprising story of the offseason, now the preseason. But I think it shows that most instincts were correct, that he was the right quarterback. Kalen DeBoer knew this probably a long time ago, but it just means to me that this program is in tremendously solid shape. There's no longer a conversation. If he doesn't play well, it doesn't mean anything, as you know, Cole. But right now, I take everything coming out of Tuscaloosa that I hear as a really positive sign, because that's all I'm hearing. And I know some people will say, "Hey, it's August. We always hear this." No, not always. You hear whispers sometimes. I haven't heard anything that would indicate that this team is going to be anything but a national championship contender.
And Paul, I think that some of the discussion on Alabama is kind of getting way down the road. There are folks now saying not just playoff spot, but legitimate national championship contender. Where's Alabama in your mind right now as it pertains to the rest of college football heading into this season?
I have no trouble saying it. I think Alabama is a legitimate national championship contender. I think they were way too low yesterday, and I don't know if we've ever said that in modern time, Cole, but to me, they are a top two, top three, top four team. I'd put them in there over Ohio State, a couple other schools as well, maybe even Georgia. But since they're playing in six weeks, I'm not going to get too hung up on stuff like that. But I really like it, and so much of what I'm about to say sounds like I'm rehashing the last 5 months. But it started with nobody leaving. It continues with Ty Simpson. They have plugged so many holes. The recruiting has been outstanding, and the coaching staff is good for the first time since Kalen DeBoer got there. There were too many weaknesses last year, and we all know where those were, and they've been rectified.
Yeah, Paul Finebaum with us on the Higginbotham Hotline joins us each and every week thanks to our friends at Craneworks. When you go to the other side of the state, it sounds like some of the news coming out of the scrimmage over the weekend. There were one bad practice last week where Coach Freeze seemed to be frustrated, but feels like the vibes are fairly positive in Auburn right now. A lot of those around quarterback, and he allowing his defensive coordinator to do a little bit more, it sounds like, this last Saturday in scrimmage. Where are you on Auburn as we approach the season?
I'm pretty high, and I was in Alabama all weekend, and I heard some of the same things that everybody else was hearing. And right now, you said the word vibe. What you want right now, 2.5 weeks before the first game, you want positivity. You don't want concern. You don't want a lot of negative thoughts coming into your mind. And I think Hugh Freeze has been very careful, very cautious. He did not want Jackson Arnold's confidence a wreck before he goes on the road in that opening game. But I think he's in excellent shape, and quite frankly, I think a lot of things are tilting in Auburn's direction. But Auburn's different than Alabama. They don't quite have the roster, although they have the best roster in years. They don't have, I don't think, as much momentum, and they also have a much more difficult opening game. And some people are saying Alabama's playing at Florida State. I don't care. I don't respect Florida State. I don't think they're a factor, but I do think Baylor is extremely good, and I think that is why I have some trepidation in going all in on Auburn until that Friday night has come to an end. Because if Auburn can win that game, Cole, then watch out. I think Auburn then, gets a win that many weren't sure about, and you start looking at that very difficult September schedule leading into Georgia in October and going, okay, they're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with A&M and Oklahoma. Can they split those two? Can they steal one against Georgia at home? And then suddenly you've got the momentum leading into the second half, which I think is a lot more favorable. And I'm including Alabama there. I know what I just got through saying about Alabama, but I've also been in that stadium, as you have, many, many times. And I'll save you the cliches, but if Auburn has momentum going into that, then we have a whole different conversation.
Is there a team, because we talked to you since SEC Media Days and maybe mainly at SEC Media Days, of this sort of middle of the pack in the SEC, how it feels like there's 8 to 12 teams that could finish 5th and 8 to 12 teams that could finish 11th or 12th. Is there a team that you feel more positive about that's heading in the right direction, and maybe the opposite, a team that you thought was in the middle of the pack was going to be right there with those other teams that now you feel like they're most likely not going to be there this season?
I really like A&M, and that is not a novel selection, but I continue to be impressed with Mike Elko. The school that I'm probably a little concerned about right now, relative to the ranking, Cole, is Florida. And, I feel like it's 2024 all over again with what I'm about to say, but I just don't like their schedule. I hate their schedule. And I think even though it looks like they've survived the Lagway conundrum with his health, and that's still something you have to watch. And I know what they have on the team, and I've heard about this guy and that guy as you have. But you start facing those games, and that 4-game stretch, when the road game at Miami looks to me like the easiest game, that means you better watch out.
It's definitely looking that way. I think that when you look at some of these teams, Paul, and where they maybe could be, where they couldn't be, schedule has to be the direction that you go. We talked a lot about Missouri yesterday and how I just don't feel like anybody's giving them any chance to really move ahead of some of these other teams in the middle of the pack. And you look at that schedule, that to me more than anything else shows you that they at least have a great opportunity to surprise us and maybe be ahead of the pack the first half of the season, one way or the other.
I agree. We were talking around the newsroom yesterday. Which team outside of the top 25 should be in there? And it was Missouri, and it was based on that schedule. They get by Kansas, and I'm pretty sure they will, even though that's going to be a really big game. Then they've got a pretty good path as long as they turn some of those 50-50 games, and I think they're capable once they get the quarterback situation in good shape. But you know this because you've been there a lot more than I have. But Drinkwitz has done a very good job. He just lost a game late in the year that has taken some of the shine off. But their record is fantastic.
Paul, we were talking yesterday just about not only Missouri but LSU and everything happening with this Garrett Nussmeier situation and Brian Kelly somewhat sarcastically yesterday trying to put it to rest. Does that open your eyes to maybe what really might be happening or what's going on with that football team? Or should we just kind of take what Brian Kelly says, move on, and continue thinking that they're going to compete for a national title?
Well, I think the problem Brian Kelly has right now is what he says at these news conferences is competing with what people are watching on Netflix. And which Brian Kelly is talking, the one that was talking before the season or the one that's talking now that the season is here? And I say that somewhat jokingly, but he definitely is a big conversation piece after the Any Given Saturday came out. But I feel pretty good about that. When you say from an injury standpoint, 0.5 on a scale of 0 to 10, that's essentially saying it's no big deal. It's waking up in the morning and you're a little bit sore. And then you go in and get treated. I don't think it's a big deal, but I think what it really shows is just how precarious the LSU schedule is as well. The first game speaks for itself, then all these other games, including that Florida game a couple of weeks later. So I just think that there's it's a little bit like Auburn, except the stakes are higher. They get out of Clemson with a win, and expectations are going to just rocket around the world. And if they lose, it's probably the easiest prediction in the world what Labor Day morning is going to be like when it comes to LSU fans. They will be in a complete meltdown.
Are you more surprised that Texas has never been number one in the preseason of the AP poll, or more surprised that they're number one and they're an underdog to Ohio State?
I was pretty shocked because, you just have to think of Texas. But then again, Cole, every time we go out there, we realize how few national championships they've won. And it's pretty stunning for a program that boasts itself as at the epicenter of college football. As far as being an underdog, not to sound like Danny Sheridan early in the morning, but being an underdog 2.5 weeks out doesn't really matter. I thought they'd be a favorite going into that game. I think Ohio State's getting a lot of action because of who they are. I think that line will come down, and what's it going to be on the morning of the game when the real bettors come in, not just people who look at polls and go, oh my goodness, they're playing at home, they're going to win the game. People that bet, Cole, know very little. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't be wasting time betting. They'd be in France right now.
All fair, Paul. You mentioned that the Netflix documentary. Who's coming away a winner in that? Who's coming away a loser in that? I've only seen the first, I think, 3 episodes, and I know you wanted to watch yourself, because you're featured so heavily in it. So I'm sure you've seen them all.
Yeah, I'm at a disadvantage because I just started watching it, so I saw the Kelly episode. All I saw was Brian Kelly cursing the first episode that I watched. I think in many ways Diego Pavia has been the story. And he continues to make himself the story. But what's wrong with Vanderbilt being a big topic of conversation? And for all the criticism that he has gotten about some of the things that he has said, even on Netflix, and even what he told us the other day. So what? I mean, do you think he really cares if he doesn't complete this mission in the playoffs? I mean, Vanderbilt is taken seriously, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I think it's because I told you, Paul, one of my biggest surprises at media days was every time I would bring up Vanderbilt in the interview, the interviewer would just kind of say, well, yeah, they're going back to being Vanderbilt this year. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. I don't really believe that's the way it's going to be for them this year. So I think it's fair for them to get a little bit of shine, because I don't think they're just going away and going to be a team that people can just show up, put the ball down, walk through a game and get a W like maybe they could in the past.
Well, and I think, to Clark Lee's credit, I mean, he's been preaching from the same hymnal since he got there. And if he can just back it up, and this is Vanderbilt's mission this year, back it up. Don't fall back, because people will not take you seriously if you do. And so this is their moment. And by the way, they worked really hard to get to this moment, and they're not easy to get to when you start every season ranked number 16th in the SEC.
There you go. Paul, great stuff as always. Appreciate you making up the visit from yesterday, and we'll catch up again next week.
Paul, enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. He's with us each and every Monday normally, but having to make it up on Tuesdays the last couple of weeks, which is no problem there. And I wanted to go back to the Netflix documentary. Some of you have seen it. Some of you haven't. Who are the winners and losers of it? We mentioned a little bit of it about a week ago. Go into a little bit more of that, and then get your thoughts on Ty Simpson, per reports being named Alabama starting quarterback. 205-834-9450. If you want to get in, you can text or call in there. Also, 800-239-9569. Tweet into the show. Does Ty Simpson being named the starter now give you more confidence in what Alabama could be this upcoming season, and why? We'll discuss that next right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll talk more Ty Simpson as Alabama's starting quarterback. Also, ESPN's Netflix's SEC documentary. What is the name of this again, Damian? I don't know. I've watched 3 episodes. I don't know the name of it.
Any given Saturday.
That too. Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jocks. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It's hard to stop a train. Have you finished this? Have you watched it all?
I have seen every episode.
How many are there?
7.
Oh, I got a ways to go. I didn't think anything less of Brian Kelly because he was cussing, as Paul stated. I don't think Paul thought less of him. I think he's maybe just a little bit surprised because we don't hear that a lot from him in certain situations. I thought it was good to see him kind of in there coaching a little bit and kind of getting after guys in a little bit of a different way. He's a different personality. And I think one thing that would help Brian Kelly, and maybe this doesn't matter, but would be more features on his background and where he's from and who he is. Because I do think a lot of people look at him and think of him as some sort of fake or phony or he's trying to be something that he's not. But they did a little bit. They gave you a little snippet of him going into politics after college. And I think that's a part of what has sort of shaped him and molded him. I think it's a part of the reason he talks the way he does sometimes, says some of the things that he does. So I think he could benefit from that. I thought the weirdest part was he's sitting there talking to his agent about his quarterback going to the NFL or not. which that has nothing to do with Brian Kelly. It's just strange that that's a conversation that a college football coach today is actually going to have. Think about the fact that you're trying to negotiate with the guy that negotiates for you about whether or not your quarterback should come back or he should go ahead and go to the NFL. Just a strange place to be at that point in time. But I'm trying to think of who really comes out of this as a loser. I haven't seen anybody so far that I look at and have a different perception of. Now, I said last week that, listen, I love Diego Pavia, the competitor. But I said it last week, I'll say it again. This is becoming a little bit of an act. Some of the things that are said and some of the things like the continuously trying to be over the top, it's coming off pro wrestler-ish. And if it does continue to become a shtick or an act, I think people will view it that way, and I think there's a chance that becomes a distraction. Not that it is now, not that it already has been, not that it was last year, not that I guarantee it will be this year. But I do think more people are going to start coming to the realization that, okay, these are just things he says because he knows people are going to react to it, and then the reaction will become different, and that could be a distraction for that football team.
See, I think like once you continue the documentary, if you find the time to finish the last 4 episodes, it will make you, I guess you'd say, question the yin and yang of Clark Lee's demeanor and Diego Pavia. Now, I will say, I knew Clark Lee had some rough edges. Like
he played fullback.
Yeah, and it comes off, but it's a very almost like assassin approach.
He's calculated with it.
Yes, extremely. And the fact that you can tell that this team really rallied behind him in 2024. Shane Beamer, he's in it a lot. You follow the South Carolina, just the highs and lows and kind of just everything that was going on with the season last year. He's definitely a winner. And I would say that I think Vanderbilt.
But see, I've had people say that Shane is not a winner in their eyes.
See, I thought he was.
They think Shane's annoying. They don't like they think it's an act. They don't like it.
No.
I'm just telling you what some people have shared with me because I'm with you. I think that is him.
Yes.
I think he's genuine. And if it's annoying, that's fine. If you don't like it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think he's doing anything different than he would in a lot of other instances.
He has the focal point of his locker room. Like, one thing you cannot deny is that those players will do anything for Shane Beamer. That's how I kind of took away from it. It's like, nah, these dudes rock with Shane Beamer all the way.
He lets his coaches coach. And so I think his staff is appreciative of him for that. I think his staff reacts to him well because of that. And I think that his players understand that he has been the same probably since the moment that they met him. So therefore that's why they respect him. That's why they want to play for him. That's why they want to do good things for him. It's why the team has had some success because he's not out there being one guy 1 minute, another guy the next minute. So you might not like his demeanor. You might not like the way he approaches guys, talks to guys. But I think his team appreciates it because it's consistent. And I think the same thing with Clark Lee. I think Clark Lee is very calculated. Clark Lee is the most thoughtful head coach I think I've ever been around. And I mean that. I mean, you heard me ask him at media days, Damian. I don't know how he remembers all these things that he says. I mean, for every situation, he's got a quote, and then he's got 2 quotes off of that he goes to, and like he's got his daily quotes, and he's got his daily mantra, and his weekly mantra, and his monthly mantra, and I don't know how he remembers them all. And I'll say this: a year ago, well, not last year, but before last year, so I guess a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was too much. Because you would talk to him, and I think he was trying to inject these statements, philosophies on warrior mentality into all of his guys. And even in TV meetings, we would walk away being like, that was cool for 5 minutes, but I was lost after that. And some of them I was trying to write down because I have a book of quotes from coaches and important people that I'm keeping for my children. I'm just going to give it to them one day. It'll actually probably be given to them for me when I'm gone. But the goal is to say, hey, here's all the quotes that I heard over time that are pretty cool that I like, and just, trying to live by these. And I couldn't keep up. I mean, I was just sitting there like, hold on. When you said like warrior will react to what was that again? Because it's one after another after another. Well, I think it's one of the things that I think the guys who came in this new staff with him have helped him with is like, hey man, you gotta stop trying so hard. Just be yourself because you are enough. Like you're football. You have great football acumen. You can communicate it well. The guys like you. They like your personality. But stop trying. I think he was trying to teach instead of coach.
Makes sense.
And by doing that, it became more philosophical. It became a little bit more thoughtful. And he told us last year he had to back some of that off. He's like, I couldn't do it. He's like, I had to tone it down because I think a lot of people were looking at me. And like you said, the yin and yang with Diego Pavia, if he can continue, I will say this about Diego Pavia. If Clark Lee continues having success, and by success, I mean winning seasons, that be it 7-6 or 9-10 win seasons, Diego Pavia will be the most important part of that, not because of what he was on the field, helping him win games and then helping, like we always talk about, whether it was Julio Jones, whoever, like kind of helped the cycle get going for Saban, whatever it was, like not even like that, where people saw him on the field and said, I want to go be a part of that. I want to go play for that guy. Not even that. What it will be is that Diego Pavia was the guy that came in that probably did not carry himself exactly the way Clark wanted him to. But that staff and Diego Pavia helped him realize, I got to back off on some of the things that I think are the most important parts of my program, because now what I've realized is the most important part of my program is that my best players are playing on Saturday. And if that doesn't happen, we're probably going to lose. There's a good chance we're going to lose games. And I don't want to lose games. And so, I think it's something Jerry Kill has really helped him with. I think Tim Beck has helped him with. Those guys have been around a lot of college football, been head coaches multiple places. And I think Jerry Kill just basically said, hey, man, if you want to go make them run stadiums, that's fine. If you want to make them show up for 3 a.m. workouts, that's cool. Don't suspend him for the first half. He can't miss a game. And it's not just Pavia, but I think it's multiple guys where he's like, I understand that that's against your rules and you don't like that, but he's not out there robbing liquor stores. They're not carjacking people on the weekends. Make sure they still play in the game. I can remember we had a wide receiver one time that was one of our best players and just wouldn't go to class and had to do punishment work in the mornings. And this was the week of the Florida game. And every morning that week, he was at the stadium running stadiums, and he was cramping up in practice every day. And you're just like, okay, well, he's not going to play because he can't practice. He played, and we got smoked, but he actually had a pretty good game. And if we were going to have any chance in that game, we had to have him. So I think that was Tuberville saying, handle the punishment here, but we're not going to dole out the punishment on Saturday unless it's something egregious to the point where we have to make an example about you, not only to our program and our university, but to all of college football. Otherwise, dress out on Saturday, get your rear end ready to play, help us win a football game. That's what Diego Pavia has done for Clark Lee, and I think a couple other guys. I think Jerry Kill helped him with that. And it's interesting that you mentioned that yin and yang because it's there. It's very real. But I also think it has helped Clark Lee tremendously to say, this is not the military. Not everybody's going to be right in line with the dress code and how you act and what you say and where you say it and how you say it and where you go. But no matter what, similar to the military, when it's time to go, we need everybody going. I mean, the military is not going to get mad at their best marksman and say, don't put him out there. We don't like the way he's been talking. He's been too goofy in meetings. Like, he's our best marksman. Let him take the shot and make sure he's in position to do it. So I think that's the mindset that Clark Lee has had to take. But I'm with Paul. I think they need the run. And I think they deserve the run. And not just because of what they did last year, but they're going to be a dangerous football team this year. Y'all got to get used to that and get ready for that. They're not going away. I mean, we mentioned Bruce Feldman's freaks list. They got a tight end that's 6'5" with a 39-inch vertical leap that can run.
I don't think people understand.
They hit 22 miles an hour on the GPS. Like, you tell me who's matching up with him because I don't know him. I haven't seen him play.
It's
safety,
wild.
Linebacker, edge, corner. You're putting a corner on that guy? Better not be one-on-one because we're throwing fades all day. And I bet he'll go up and get him. We'll continue talking about that program and Ty Simpson being named starting quarterback at Alabama next, right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We're talking winners and losers from any given Saturday, SEC football, Netflix documentary. If you hadn't seen it, I think it's a fun watch. I've heard some people say that they didn't enjoy it because they didn't get anything from it. But I feel like I learned a few things, at least got to know a few guys in different ways. Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jocks. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a Trane. There were multiple conversations from coaches in this documentary, and you let us know what you think. Are there winners or are there losers? If you've seen it, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You can also tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Always be a part there. Text into the show 205-834-9450. There are multiple instances of coaches having to have conversations with their teams of not being able to be a part of a bowl team, postseason team, or be in the locker room with it the way that they wanted it. Hugh Freeze was one of those. Jeff Lebby was one of those. I'm trying to think if there's another coach that we heard say, because it was Shane Beamer after one loss, I believe, after the Alabama loss, possibly. And he was just like, I'm sorry that you're having to feel this way because this is our fault. And I thought it was a good look at the reality of kind of how things conclude and where things are at certain points of a season, because we forget about that part of it's hard. It's hard to lose. It's not fun to lose. And we focus so much on the winning and focus so much on the good teams, and then we just kind of throw the bad teams out, and you forget the emotional, mental part of it that comes with it of, I hate this. And watching those coaches talk about it that way, I hated it for them. I hated listening to a coach have to address 90, 100, 18 to 22-year-olds, 25-year-olds now, of saying, hey, we didn't get it done for you, and this is probably it. And you know it's it for some of those guys. You know it's it for some of the guys in the locker room, whether they're going to try to play in the UFL or try to be an undrafted free agent, whatever it is. Some of those guys are not going to play football again. I was one of them. So it's not fun having that conversation, and we totally gloss over that part of it. But hearing some of those coaches take the responsibility, and I do think it's cool to kind of hear them have the confidence of, hey, this is going to be right, and then I hate that you're not a part of it being right, and you had to be a part of it being like this right now.
It was brutal. Like the last episode, one of the last episodes dealing with the rivalry games, and it's Ole Miss and Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. And you would have thought building up to that week, like Mississippi State was coming in undefeated. Like, I mean, he had that team rolling. And if you go back and remember, the game was really competitive, and just a couple mistakes end up, flipping things in Ole Miss's favor. But after the game, like Jeff Lebby's fighting back tears of just like, I hate the fact that we had to endure this. Like, yep. It is, I mean, players are crying, they're upset, it's hurting them. He's just like, you don't even realize that, man. The people that are going through this right now, you're building it up towards the future. Like, I want you to come back and be part of this success. You're always part of this family. It's just, I hate the fact that you went this entire season essentially without that good feeling of getting, a big time win. Because, I mean, it was, I came away very impressed. Like, I really looked at Jeff Lebby, and I already thought he was a great coach, but it just humanized him more of like, man, I would run through a brick wall for that guy.
Yeah, I always wondered too, because I was kind of in that spot of how many coaches are going to stick to that. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in, discuss this topic that we're on, the Netflix documentary, any given Saturday, discussing and showcasing SEC football. How many coaches actually followed through with that? How many coaches actually say, hey, that was the group that helped put us on the map. We're not going to forget about them. Because Tuberville's pretty good about it with my senior class for a while. Like he gave us all a brick in the little walkway there at the end of Tiger Walk. And, I remember he would reference us in the media some and say things. And when we were back, he would reference it. Maybe as good of a job as a coach can do. I don't know. I don't know what a coach can really do for the group of guys that come in and help you get it back on track. But that season wasn't great. And we did win the West my final year. Picked to finish second to last, I believe. So we did have that to kind of hang our hats on. Did get to the SEC championship game. Played Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. Great game, went toe-to-toe, but weren't able to be victorious there. So people will look back on that season and probably say, specifically with Mississippi State last year. I mean, a lot of people are going to look at the year and say, yeah, they didn't do anything. We would like to forget them. But if they do lay the groundwork and all of a sudden things get better and things start going the right way, I'm always interested to see what those coaches kind of can and will do for that group. Because, like, how do you honor them? Hey, you didn't win an SEC game. Thanks. But you helped us get it back where it was. So they need to be. And they should be, if they are a group that realistically kind of helps you weather the storm, to be able to get things right a little bit later. Don's on the Higginbotham hotline, wants to chat in. Welcome in, Don. How you doing today?
Hello, Kyle. War Eagle to you, my friend.
War Eagle, man.
Hey, the Auburn episode, buddy, I bet that brought back memories for you on your last game, and that just showed that was unbelievable. The Cam Coleman and Marcus Davis walked through right there by Stanford Hall. That was my favorite part, but that brought back memories for you, I'm sure, doesn't it?
Some of it, yeah, for sure. I mean, I know what goes into that game, and you think back on it and being able to play at the last one at Legion Field, which was probably more memorable to me than any other college football game that I personally played in, because I would pay 50 cents and get on the Max bus at Mason DeVille and ride to Legion Field and just walk around. So, I mean, I didn't have a place to go. I didn't know anybody tailgating. I didn't have tickets, but I just wanted to be a part of it and be a part of big college football games.
Yeah, I actually went to that game and everything. You guys played your guts out in that game. You really did, man. And now, was that Tuberville's first year? Or
no, that was Bill Oliver. Jimbo Fisher refused to run 344 and 343 again, which it worked coming out of the half as we told him it would. And we ran it once for about 18 yards and didn't run it again. And then there was a guy wearing 37 on the other team that was somewhat difficult to slow down.
Yeah, I'll never forget when Sean Alexander and Alabama beat Florida that year, I believe. Steve Spurrier after the game, he never would say the player's name for Alabama. He goes, couldn't stop 37, and number 60 blocked my whole defensive line. He goes, God wasn't smiling on the Gators today.
Well, that's sometimes the way that it goes, and you just don't really know. Thanks for the call, Don. Appreciate it.
Buddy, thank you.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of a different side of Hugh Freeze, talking to some of his guys about where he wanted them to be, wished that they were, and was upset that they couldn't be there at that point in time. So, and that's the hard part of all of this. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to have a bad year. And now more than ever, the extra stuff that comes with that is more difficult to handle. But they're also making a lot of money, including the players. All right, let's give you some added value here on Jocks. I'm going to introduce you to our friend and wealth advisor, Tad Hill, your trusted retirement planning partner. Tad, the co-host of the Retire with Freedom radio and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville, also designated by Forbes as the #1 financial securities professional in the state of Alabama, multiple years running. Tad, what do you have for us today?
Okay, today is a topic that we've discussed before, but it's a pretty constant issue, and that is market volatility. And definitely the markets have been topsy-turvy for months in a row now. And if you're already retired or you're within 5 years of it, there's a thing called sequence of returns risk. And I can't go through all the math here. I can do that in our course or in a visit. But the bottom line is, if you get poor returns early in your retirement, then you are at a much higher risk of running out of money. And our Retire with Freedom process is designed to help you build a plan to insulate you from that. We can help you. I would really encourage you to come to one of our courses or come in for a visit. And the way to do that is to text JOCKS at 205-988-0006. That's 205-988-0006. Text JOCKS, 205-988-0006.
This is a page.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:48 right here on Jocks. You can listen online, jocksfm.com. Find us on YouTube. You can watch the show live every day. Search Jocks 945. Tune in that way. Show lives on YouTube every day, too, if you want to go back and watch it throughout the course of the day. Talking Netflix documentary, who may be featured that we enjoyed. Like Whit Weeks I mentioned with Matt Moscona earlier in the week, that I had visited with him once for a TV meeting, knew he was a pretty cool kid, knew he was fun, but like you just got a whole new peek into like what he is, what he's about. Like it just seems like if you're picking your teams, it'd be hard not to pick him first. And it has nothing to do with playing football. That's a big part of what would be great about it. But like you just want him on your team. I just want the attitude, like the smile, you want that on your side. And so learning more about guys like him, I think seeing Sellers behind the scenes a little bit pretty cool. Like you see how thoughtful, how intelligent, some of the things that go into what he does on a daily basis. I think that's all pretty cool. So I think all in all, it's been great. I think a lot of people were scared about this when it was announced that, they're going to show you how the sausage is made. And people are, watch out. You're going to see this. They're going to be working out early.
Whoa.
They get yelled at.
Right.
The coaches cuss. Oh.
That's one thing I always think about, especially now since I'm done playing. It's like, okay, yeah, I understand people want to be, great sports and great sportsmen. I don't think people really understand what goes on the football field. Like, it's not a nice sport. Every single snap, it's literally a collision. It's wheel on wheel, man on man. Like, it's a violent game. Not everybody's friends on the football field. It's very rare that you get an occasional, like, hey, good play. Most of the time, it's like not suitable for work that's being said on every snap. And I guess when people like figure out, Brian Kelly's cussing out his players. Oh, well, yeah, like I expect my coach to cuss me out if I'm doing something wrong.
I don't know why that was surprising, to be perfectly honest with you. I know that some guys' demeanor is different than others, and we don't really expect them to say certain things or have that certain side of them, but they've all got it. If they didn't have intensity, they wouldn't be where they are.
That's a fact.
And I think that's another thing you kind of learned about Beamer. He's like the all shucks guy, and you hear him dropping F-bombs and halftime speeches of how you need to finish, and it's kind of like, well, he's got that side too. Like he can be that guy if he needs to. He can crank it up if he's got to. You got to have it in this game. You've got to get your guys ready to play. You've got to get the intensity out of them. And even if you leave a lot of that to your coordinators or your position coaches, the head coach still has to have it at certain points in time, no matter what. He's got to have it. And I think you saw that he's got it a little bit. But I don't feel like anybody has just embarrassed themselves, or there's been anybody like hearing the stuff about Billy and his dad. Like people need to know about that. Like people need to know. Like
had no idea.
Oh yeah, his dad's a high school legend and an amazing coach that had a ton of wins and has a ton of respect from everybody. And so like those are the stories that when people are talking about fire this guy that people don't know and they haven't seen. And it shows you how relatable he is as a person. He might be the most monotone sucker you've ever seen in an interview in his life at the podium. And I try to tell Florida fans when they hired him, don't think that this opening presser is going to be what wins you over, because it will not be. He's not that guy. But then you start hearing his philosophies and you start hearing like what motivates him and how he operates and why he operates. I mean, he is meticulous. He has a reason for every single thing that he does. And he'll tell you, he's like, we did it this way. And here's why. And he'll go step A, step B, step C, step D, step Z he'll get to. And you're like, wow, okay, makes sense now. Like, I get it. I mean, he is as meaningful with how he operates and what he does as anybody I've met. And there are some guys that they don't take that same approach. Sam Pittman doesn't take that approach. I mean, he knows why he wants to do certain things, but it's not all, T's crossed, I's dotted, perfectly typed and written out. It's a little bit of a different way of handling things. Like, you don't think Sam Pittman's got that intensity side if he needs it? I promise you he can get it out if he's got to.
He O-line coach. You know he got it in him.
Get in the corner and give me a pump. Next time I talk to Sam Pittman, I'm going to say, how many times have you asked your guys to do curls 5 minutes before the kickoff? I'm going to guess it's none. There may have been an early Sam Pittman that told his guys, like, saw a curl bar in the corner of a visiting locker room. Was like,
just go ahead and knock you out, son.
I think we might need to go over there and get a couple of them curls in. The D-line's good. Never know, it might help. I think the pushing point of it would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Dave in Hoover wants to chime in. He's on the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in, Dave.
Hey, guys, a couple things. First of all, I'm 64 years old, so I played for the 65-pound Cowboys as a kid. And we had a coach that yelled at everybody. And we had one kid I grew up with, Johnny Mann. He said, Johnny, you're not hitting anybody. You're standing around. Follow me. And he follows him. He goes over to the sideline, and he says, now you stand right here with the cheerleaders. Girls, y'all show him a couple of moves or whatever y'all do.
No, he did
Johnny,
not.
when you decide you want to come hit somebody, you raise your hand. The parents are laughing about it. You do that today, you end up in court.
How old was this?
65 pounds. So I was probably, gosh, what was that?
That was
8
probably-
or 9 years old?
Yeah, around
Yeah.
there, maybe a little older.
Yeah. Oh, they got on you, boy. And, and of course in high school you got hit in the helmet with a whistle. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but back when we had those suspension helmets, like doing it to a tin can or something. But, hey, real quick on Napier, I saw him last night on SEC Network. His lips don't hardly move when he talks. And there's no doubt this guy knows football. I mean, he's as intelligent when it comes to football as anybody. I just don't know that the guy has a personality for a head coach. I could be wrong, totally wrong, but I don't know. There's something about him. I can't figure out what it is. I guess we'll see. This year probably is going to be the make or break year for this guy. But
does maybe the greatest NFL coach in our time have a personality?
Good point. Bill Belichick.
I mean, you do it different ways. So I see what you're saying, and I agree. I'll tell you, he's not going to wow you in any press conference, but he's thoughtful.
That's right.
And he's intentional.
Hey, and did you guys notice the statue of Bill Brady, Tom Brady outside the stadium? I was watching Fox News last night, and they brought it up. They said, "Look at the statue. What's wrong with it? His head is way too small for that statue."
I haven't looked at it. I'll go find a photo of it and take a look. I saw that he got it, but I didn't pay attention to it. So I'll go look at it. Appreciate the call. Gusty Ghouls and the Gusty Ghouls Group want to help you get into a new home. Maybe even not one that has a statue, maybe one that does have a statue, but they've helped more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area, so they can help you. 205-542-1996. Google Gusty Ghouls Group. You're going to see over 850 five-star Google reviews. So you know they're going to be able to help you in a lot of different ways. Get into a new home. They know what real estate's coming available. Or get top dollar for your current home. Go to GustyGhoulsGroup.com or call 205-542-1996 today and start packing.